We have an important decision to make as part of the leadership race of the Liberal Party of Canada by March 9th. And I'm here to tell you today that I will be offering my support to Mark Carney. Thank you. Merci.
Are you okay with getting rid of the carbon tax?
As I said yesterday, my statement to many of you yesterday was a difficult one. I continue to believe that the consumer price on pollution is one of the best tools we have to fight climate change. It's not the only one. We also have an industrial component to it, to carbon pricing, which is very important, which gives us the bulk of our emission reduction. But our plan is not based on one single measure. Our plan to fight climate change is based on 100 of different measures that we've put in place. And I will continue to work with Mr. Carney to ensure that if we don't go ahead with the consumer carbon price, that we have something else in place that will both help Canadians with affordability, but that will also help us to achieve our 2030 targets.
Is the carbon tax dead?
No, it's not. Absolutely not. We still have, as I said, all of the candidates have, to my knowledge, have said that they would continue supporting the industrial carbon pricing, which, may I remind you, gives us 3 times more emission reduction than the consumer carbon pricing. And we will continue. I mean, we know that carbon pricing is one of the most effective tools. The beauty of the consumer carbon pricing is that it was both an environmental measure as well as a social measure, because, you know, despite the lies that Pierre Poilievre has been telling Canadians, more Canadians get more money back from carbon pricing than what they pay. And so if we remove that, we not only need to replace an environmental measure with another one that would be equivalent, but we also need to find a way to continue supporting Canadians in those times of challenges with affordability and cost of living issues.
The Liberals lose so badly on policy that's been around for 5 years. What went wrong?
Pierre Poilievre went wrong, and he lied and manipulated Canadians on this issue, because for a number of years, a large amount of Canadians were in favor of the consumer pricing, and through a campaign that has largely lied and misled Canadians, he's made it a very unpopular policy.
I'm a little exhausted to say. I would assume you're so even more, Minister Giroux, about litigating the carbon tax. Like, I'm not here to play games. I'm just gonna say this like it is. But the reality is, the truth of that is that once you include the economic impact, 6 out of 10 Canadians are worse off. Is that not correct, Mr. Giroux?
When we include the economic impact of the fuel charge and the output-based pricing system, it's true that the majority of households are worse off, and we are in the process of updating our analysis to try to isolate the fuel charge, the impact of the fuel charge itself.
Yeah, so when economic and fiscal impacts are combined, as you said, the majority of Canadians are worse off. That's correct. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Giroux. And one last thing on the carbon tax, and then I promise I'll move forward. But the government's own report appears to validate your conclusion. Is that correct?
That is our understanding, because they arrived at an estimate of a negative 0.9%, rounded to 1% of GDP when including the fuel charge and the output-based pricing system, where we had 1.3% in 2030. So that's in the ballpark, and that's very close for that type of analysis.
Yeah.
Your final conclusion, according to you, still stands, which your final conclusion was that given all the fiscal and economic impacts of the carbon tax scam, a majority of Canadian households are worse off. Can I just get you to confirm that one more time?
The fuel charge and the output-based pricing system, when both are included, yes, that still stands. But
perfect.
That's it.
Thank you very much.
Considering the fact that you're not very popular in Western Canada, especially in Alberta and Saskatchewan, how is your support going to benefit Mr. Carney in this race?
I think I'm probably popular in parts of the country and unpopular in others. I'm not sure I'm the best person to answer that question. I'm going to do everything I can and help in any way I can to make sure that Mark Carney is the next leader of the Liberal Party, and then help make sure that we win the next election campaign.
Is the environment minister?
I'm sorry?
Have you talked with Mr. Carney about being his environment minister?
I have not. That's not how I roll. I didn't do that when the Prime Minister asked me to run in 2019. I didn't do that with Mark Carney, and I won't be doing that.
And you're talking about continuing to support consumers, even if the consumer price on carbon is gone. Are you talking about? I mean, because people are going to spend more if the industrial pricing system is there, it's going to get passed on to consumers. So you're talking about what? Cutting their taxes, giving them a refund? Like, what's your idea?
I won't speculate on what Mr. Carney might want to propose in terms of new measures. But what I'm saying is that one of the unique features of the Canadian consumer carbon pricing was that the fact that it was both an environmental measure as well as a social measure. And we obviously have to find solutions to the fact that we will be losing emission reduction if we get rid of the consumer carbon pricing. But we also have to be thinking about how do we continue that support that was there for low and middle income Canadian families.
Are you concerned that Mr. Carney has not proven himself in the House, has not proven himself in a campaign to throw your support behind a man that's not shown that he can actually win anything for the Liberals?
No, I'm not concerned about that.
Is the consumer carbon tax
Why are you not concerned about that?
He has a wealth of experience navigating difficult crises. I talked earlier about the financial crisis in 2008 when he was here in Canada, the Brexit in England. He has a ton of experience on the world stage, working in different G7 economies. So for all of those reasons, I have great trust in his abilities.